Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maria Gomez, and tonight we will be in the ring with none other than the one, the only, Santos Saul Alvarez Barragan, aka El Canelo. And with a quick jab, allow me to give you a brief list of what topics I will be presenting for you tonight. Right off the bat, I'm going to give you a brief view into his life and achievements. This way, even those who do not know who Canelo is will get a general idea of who this man is. I have selected a 15-minute language sample. I will play the introduction of the interview so that you can hear him speak. After that, I will cover some of Canelo's use of phonology during the interview. I could not forget about morphology. I will cover the internal structure of some of his words. After morphology, of course, I have to talk about syntax. How could I not mention Canelo's use of grammar? And last but not least, I will cover social linguistics. Just like that, let's get ready to rumble. Canelo Alvarez was born on July 18, 1990, making him 35 years old today. He was born in Jalisco, Mexico. Jalisco is in the midwestern part of Mexico. This state is bordered by Nayarit, Zacatecas, Aguascalientes, Guanajuato, Michoacán, and Colima. His parents are Santos and Maria. They had 7 boys and 1 girl, and out of those 8 children, Canelo is the baby. It is common in Mexican culture for your loved ones to take the thing that you are the most self-conscious about and turn that very thing into your nickname. At some point, for Canelo, this might have been his red hair. Canelo is a version of the word cinnamon in Spanish. Canelo had been fighting bullies since the age of 10. At age 13, he started training and started competing in amateur matches. And by the age of 15, he made his professional debut. After that, Canelo worked hard and is now a 4-division champion, with a record of 63 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws, with a total of 39 knockouts. His only 3 losses are to Floyd Mayweather in 2013, Dimitri Bivol in 2022, and to Terence Crawford this September of 2025. Allow me to introduce you a little bit more formally to Mr. Canelo Alvarez, his Mexican confidence and boyish charm. Feel free to click on the YouTube link or the video to play the language sample. With a lead hook, I will start to cover the topic of phonetics as it pertains to Mr. Canelo Alvarez. I learned this semester that phonology is the study of sound systems. Phonetics is the study of the speech sounds that occur in all human languages, and phonemes are the distinctive sounds of language. Mr. Alvarez does have a very thick Spanish accent and therefore makes errors in his pronunciations of phonemes. Allow me to give you 4 examples. Mr. Alvarez says dat instead of that, and das instead of that's. This is because there is no th sound in Spanish unless you have a lisp, in which case you will probably get a nickname for it. He also says yes instead of just. Again, there is no j sound in Spanish. The closest sound would be a doble L or double L or ella, which sounds like y. Mr. Canelo says the word focus instead of focused because there is no sound in Spanish vowels, only a, e, o, u. The 4th example is that Mr. Alvarez says cho instead of show, and this is because there is no sh sound in Spanish. Although there are some states in Mexico, like Chihuahua, in which people pronounce the ch as sh. Like the word muchacho would be pronounced muchacho, but that is an accent of Chihuahua. Canelo is from Jalisco, and in Jalisco they do use ch. And in the Spanish language in general, there is no sh sound, only ch. And just like that, with a rear hook, I will dive into the morphology portion of this presentation. Morphology is the study of internal structure of words and of the rules by which words are formed. Canelo sometimes drops the suffixes from words or adds a prefix where one is not needed. I will now give you 3 examples. In the sentence, I think boxing show me and teach me a lot of things, he uses the word show instead of shows, and the word teach instead of teaches, leaving out the es that would make the internal structure of these words correct. The second example is when Mr. Alvarez says, every single fighter is danger in the ring. He says danger instead of dangerous. And the last example is when Canelo says, that's why I start boxing. In this example, he uses start instead of start. That is not correct. Although the internal structure of many of Mr. Alvarez's words is incorrect, I can still fully understand him. Ladies and gentlemen, with the lead uppercut, I will now cover syntax. Syntax examines the part of grammar that represents the speaker's knowledge of the structure of phrases and sentences called syntax or the syntactic rules. And while Mr. Canelo Alvarez is a legend in the ring, he is guilty of breaking a couple syntactic rules. For example, when he says, I never thinking about money, think is an irregular verb and Canelo is using the present participle instead of the infinitive. The correct sentence would be, I never think about money. While when he responds to the interviewer with the sentence, he lose. In this example, Canelo uses the present tense of the verb and he is speaking about an opponent who lost against him in the past. Therefore, the correct sentence should be he lost. Mr. Alvarez also says in response to whether or not he thinks there are problems in the world of boxing there is many problems. In this example, Canelo is using the auxiliary verb to be, like if this sentence had a singular noun, but the word problems is a plural noun. The correct form would be to use the auxiliary verb are in the sentence. There are many problems. There are many academic and mundane situations in which using the wrong verb form would alter the conversation between people. But this interview is not one of them. And as I transition with a rear uppercut into the topic of sociolinguistics, I would like to point out that Mr. Canelo Alvarez is not a Mexican American, but he was born and raised in Mexico, so as he learns English, it makes sense that some of the characteristics of Chicano English are audible in his speech. Throughout the language sample, I did not hear any code switching though, and this is probably because he is not yet fluent in English. There are 4 characteristics of Chicano English that I noticed in the language sample. One is that he substitutes ch and sh. Canelo says cho instead of show. One of the major differences between Standard American English and Chicano English is the number of vowels. And that is the second thing that shows up in Canelo's language samples as a characteristic of Chicano English. In Standard American English, we have 11 stressed vowel phonemes, while in Spanish, we only have 5 vowel phonemes. And he only uses the 5 vowel sounds used in Spanish. The sounds are a, e, o, u. In English, there are so many different ways that the vowels are pronounced that it makes sense that he does not know those yet. So when he says the word focus, he pronounces it focus because the closest sound is the U sound in Spanish. He also substitutes t for th and d for th. Canelo says tin instead of thing and they instead of they because in Spanish there's no th sound. There's a little thing called Spanish sequential constraint, which does not permit a word to begin with an S cluster like in standard American English. For example, Canelo says estar instead of start. In Spanish, there aren't words that begin with st like street or sc like school. These types of words would begin with an e followed by an s, like in the word escuela. After the lecture in social linguistics, I do believe that ultimately Canelo's final English will be a form of Chicano English. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we approach the end of this presentation. I would like to end this with a couple of points about Mr. Canelo Alvarez. Even if Mr. Alvarez still makes errors in his pronunciation of phonemes, he is a national treasure in Mexico, and by this point in his career, probably in the whole world of boxing. He is not ashamed to flaunt his Mexican heritage or to speak up for his people. Yes, he sometimes drops the suffixes or adds a prefix where one is not needed. But I want to tell you that he does not have any formal English lessons. The English that he does know, he has learned from simply speaking with friends. And I know that many characteristics of Chicano English are more than audible. But I want to applaud the man for learning enough English that he can now complete an entire interview answering all the questions in English. This was not the case just a couple of years back. Interviewers would ask the questions in English, and Canelo would answer the questions in Spanish. The man is a legend athletically in the ring as well as linguistically. And just like all good things must come to an end, this presentation has come to its end. Thank you for coming along for the ride, and good night.